Hello everyone, welcome to my update US gossip channel. Janelle sat at the edge of the living room couch, her hands trembling as she clutched her phone, the weight of months of frustration and financial confusion pressing down on her chest like a lead blanket, and she could hear Kody bustling in the kitchen, oblivious as ever, whistling a tune that once might have been charming but now grated on her nerves like fingernails on a chalkboard, and she thought about how she had tried, time and again, to reason with him, to discuss the accounts, the mysterious withdrawals, the documents he forgot to show her, the promises he had made about transparency, promises that evaporated like smoke in the dry Utah air, and the memory of last night's confrontation flashed in her mind. Kody had waved his hands dramatically, insisting he was doing what was best for the family, but Janelle had seen the signs, the hidden charges, the invoices that didn't add up, and she had felt something shift inside her, a mixture of fear, anger, and the weary determination of a woman who had been pushed too far, and now, staring at her phone screen, she finally dialed the number, her voice shaking as she told the operator calmly but firmly that she believed Kody had embezzled nearly $1 million, and she could already imagine the ripple effect across the family, the way Christine would smirk in her confessional, the way Mary would fidget, uncomfortable, and Robin would be plotting quietly in the corner, calculating what angle would serve her best in the coming storm. Kody emerged from the kitchen, drying his hands with a dish towel, and noticed the serious look in Janelle's eyes, and immediately he stiffened, the playful smile fading from his face, and he asked, "What's wrong, Janelle? Why are you holding the phone like that?" And she swallowed hard, her voice even but tinged with steel. "I'm calling the police, Kody. I've had enough. I know about the money, the embezzlement, nearly $1 million missing." His face paled, then turned red, and he sputtered, trying to laugh it off. "Janelle, you're overreacting. You don't know what you're talking about. This is ridiculous," and she shook her head, the resolve in her gaze unwavering, and in the background, Christine appeared in a confessional clip, arms crossed, eyebrow raised, smirking as only Christine could. Kody's idea of ridiculous is like, literally everything. Honestly, I half expect him to start blaming the dog for the missing money. And don't even get me started on how weak he's been in other departments of life, and the camera cut to a shot of Kody fumbling with papers on the counter, a nervous twitch in his jaw, oblivious to Christine's commentary but aware that he was being cornered, as Mary shifted uncomfortably on the sofa, murmuring, I just want everyone to calm down," while secretly thinking she had told him so many times that he needed to get his act together, and Robin stood a little apart, fingers tapping a manicured nail on her leg, calculating, scheming, wondering how this might shift the power balance in her favor, her voice silent but her mind racing. Maybe Kody would finally realize he needed her support. Maybe he'd crumble and she'd step in like the savior wife she imagined herself to be. The first officer arrived minutes later, their presence magnifying the tension in the room exponentially, and Kody's attempts to explain seemed only to unravel further as he stammered through half-truths, misdirections, and feigned ignorance, pointing at the stacks of paper on the counter like he had just discovered them himself, and Janelle recounted each suspicious transaction, each delayed explanation, each hidden account, each time Kody had promised clarity but delivered confusion, and the officers listened, jotting notes, occasionally glancing at Kody who was sweating openly now, his charming bravado dissolving into panic, and Christine, now filming a TikTok-style confession from the hallway, whispered with a mischievous grin, "This is beautiful. I mean, I've watched Kody get flustered before, but this is an art form. Who knew he could be so pathetic when actually confronted?" And the camera cut to Robin, who had now subtly taken a seat closer to Kody, placing her hand gently on his arm, whispering soothing words while internally calculating how she might spin this to her advantage, how she might be the calm in the storm as Janelle spoke, and stood her ground, unyielding, and Mary, caught between sympathy for Janelle and her complicated history with Kody, tried to mediate without taking sides, but the room's tension was a live wire, sparking with every glance, every muttered accusation, every defensive denial. Kody's voice rose, pleading now, laced with a mix of desperation and self-preservation, "Janelle. Please. This isn't what it looks like. You don't understand the accounts, the investments," but Janelle cut him off sharply, "No, Kody. I understand perfectly. I've done the math, I've read the statements, and I am done pretending I trust you blindly. The police need to sort this out, and at that moment, Christine's confessional camera captured her rolling her eyes so dramatically it seemed almost choreographed. You know, watching him try to defend himself is like watching a toddler argue with a judge. There's no logic, just noise. And honestly, he deserves this humiliation. Maybe now he'll realize that money and charm aren't the same as accountability, and the scene cut back to Robin, who whispered, almost conspiratorially to Kody, "We'll get through this. Just stay calm. Don't say too much," while inside she was thinking about alliances, influence, and future leverage, and Mary quietly muttered to no one in particular, I can't believe it's come to this," as she pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling the migraine of family drama she'd been trying to avoid for years tighten its grip, and outside, the police began collecting documents, taking statements, and the weight of the day pressed down on everyone, heavy and suffocating, a cloud of betrayal, anger, and disbelief. Hours passed like minutes, each tick of the clock a hammer striking at the fragile veneer of the Brown family's public image, and Kody's face went through every shade of red and gray imaginable, eyes darting between Janelle's steely gaze, Christine's smirk from the confessional camera, Robin's calculating expressions, and Mary's exasperated shaking of her head, and the reality of the situation, embezzlement allegations, law enforcement in the house, public humiliation, settled on him like an avalanche, and Christine's commentary punctuated the tension, dripping with mockery and schadenfreude. If he thinks charm and pleading can save him, bless his heart. This is the day reality slapped Kody Brown in the face, and honestly, I've never been happier, and Janelle, watching Kody fumble, realized the empowerment that came from finally standing up, that sweet, intoxicating power of no longer being silenced, of refusing to carry the weight of deception any longer, while Robin leaned in subtly, ready to swoop in as the mediator, and Mary remained in stunned silence, caught somewhere between disbelief and grim amusement, and the police, with their pens and cameras, documented everything, making Kody feel smaller with each signature, each photograph, each note, while the Brown wives, each in their own way, stood witness to the unraveling of the man who had claimed to hold them all together, and Christine, ever the observer with a sardonic grin, summed up in one sentence what the rest of the family felt in fragmented emotions, "Kody, this is your life now, exposed, flustered, and completely at the mercy of everyone you thought you could control." And Janelle, breathing heavily, knew that the battle wasn't over. This was just the beginning of a reckoning, a family forced to confront hidden truths, shifting alliances, and long-buried resentments, and as the police left with documents, Kody slumped onto the couch, muttering, "I didn't think it would come to this," while Christine whispered in her confessional, smirking, "Honey, it always comes to this with Kody," and the camera lingered on Janelle's determined face, Robin's calculating eyes, Mary's quiet disapproval, and Christine's gloating smirk, a tableau of chaos, drama, and the perfect storm that only the Brown family could generate. And just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room floor, Kody sat frozen, each wife watching, each thought a complex web of resentment, strategy, and vindication, and Janelle finally allowed herself a small smile, the first genuine one in months, knowing she had reclaimed a piece of her life, while Christine continued her running commentary in the confessional, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you underestimate the women of this family, leaving viewers breathless, aghast, and already craving the next explosive episode. As Robin schemed quietly, Mary processed painfully, and Kody wondered how he could possibly recover from this public unraveling, all while Janelle felt the intoxicating mix of fear, relief, and empowerment coursing through her veins, knowing she had done the unthinkable, and somehow, in that chaos, the Brown family had never felt more alive. Kody's hands trembled as he rifled through stacks of paperwork, shoving receipts and invoices this way and that, muttering under his breath, "I don't know. I mean, it's all accounted for somewhere," but the way he avoided Janelle's piercing gaze told a story far more damning than words could ever convey, and Janelle, standing firm, felt a rush of vindication, a thrill that came from finally refusing to be gaslit by the man who had spent years weaving charm and distraction into a web meant to bind them all to his version of reality, and as Kody scrambled, Christine leaned casually against the doorway, smirking at the absurdity of it all, watching him panic is like watching a toddler try to play chess with grandmasters, she murmured in her confessional, eyes twinkling with mischief, "And trust me, This isn't even the opening move," while Robin quietly observed from her corner, her fingers drumming lightly on her knee, calculating how to use the chaos to fortify her position in the family hierarchy, wondering if she could charm Kody back to her side while keeping Janelle and Mary unsettled, and Mary, frowning, shifted uneasily on the sofa, whispering under her breath, "Somehow, we're always here, watching Kody implode," though inside she questioned her own complicity in years of enabling patterns she now wished she had resisted. And as the minutes ticked by, the police officers, methodical, professional, and utterly unamused by the domestic theatrics, began cataloging documents, photographing statements, and taking detailed notes, the room thick with tension, the air practically electric with accusation, disbelief, and simmering resentment, the weight of the past decade of deception finally manifesting as a tangible, suffocating presence. Kody's voice rose, edged with desperation, as he tried to craft yet another story, another half-truth, but his words faltered under the weight of facts and the steely determination in Janelle's eyes. "It's not what it looks like. You have to believe me." "I would never," but Janelle interrupted sharply, stepping closer, the tremor in her voice replaced by the commanding tone of someone who had spent months collecting evidence, corroborating details, and realizing that ignoring the problem had only emboldened Kody's reckless behavior. "Stop lying, Kody. Stop pretending you're the victim here. This ends now. The police will sort it out, and we'll see who's accountable." And